everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Karen, if you've not met me before, and if you have, welcome back. So today I'm going to be making this lovely little basket. Really cute, isn't it? It's a free pattern and it's from by Annie. It's a really nice starter project. I've made it using fabric from the Lewis and Irene range, which you can find on Pixie Bunny Creations website. I'll put links in the bottom for all the materials that I've used, and also a link to the By Annie website as well, so that you can download the pattern if you want to. If you have any problems downloading it at all, give me a message and I'll see if I can get one sent out to you directly. And then you can just follow the instructions on there. There's not a lot of instructions to follow anyway. And I'm going to take you through the process of me making this one in the video now. So let's get started. I'm using the Petit Four Baskets pattern from By Annie. This is a free pattern and you can download it from the By Annie website. I'll put a link below in the video. I've printed it off for my own convenience. And I've chosen two fabrics, both from the Lewis and Irene Creative Landscapes collection, which I've just fallen in love with. So I'm going for orange tones on this one. I'm having this nice patchwork one for the outside of the basket, and this is going to be the lining. And then I've also cut a piece of Soft and Stable. This is from By Annie as well. So this is a foam stabilizer. You can use other sort of wadding as well, especially if you just want to do a quilted basket. So you can use sort of standard wadding, whatever thickness you choose really. So the pattern's directed me to cut 3 squares of fabric, 2 squares of fabric and one of the Soft and Stable. So I've done that. I've used a ruler to cut that. I've used my draft and cut ruler. You'll find these on the website, actually, on my website. They're really useful. Nice clear measurements in inches. It's flexible, strong, and then you just use it with a rotary cutter. Nice clear measurements, look. So the square that I've had to cut for the interfacing is 11 by 10. And then the other 2 squares are 10 by 10 and 9 by 10. So the first step is the pattern tells me to centre the outer fabric on top of the Soft and Stable. So we've got a nice little border around the edge, and then to run a line of stitching around the edge. So I'm off to my machine to do that now. So I stitch all around the edge of the fabric, about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the fabric, making sure that I keep it nice and flat against the Soft and Stable as I go along. So the next thing is to cut the Soft and Stable down to the same size as the fabric. So I'm going to use my ruler and my rotary cutter for that, but you can do that with scissors if you prefer. There we are. So following the pattern, it's telling me to mark grid lines on the fabric now and to sew along those lines. So I'm going to do that with an air erasable pen. Always test these on your fabric first. So I was using the grid lines on my mat to help me line up the ruler, but you can also do it this way. So it's basically 2.5 inches in. So we can do it this way as well if you prefer. So just put a little mark at that end and a little mark at the other end at the 2.5. And then you can join the dots together. And so now it's telling me to stitch along these lines that I've marked. So I'm going back to the machine now to do that. Okay, so I've stitched the lines all the way around. The air eraser pen that I used has already disappeared. So that's good. Those purple lines won't be showing. And these will be the fold lines for the bag. So they help it to fold. Get a nice crisp turn. Now the next stage, it's telling me to stitch on each side of these rectangles and then cut them away. So that's there and there. So I'm going to go and do that next. So I've stitched around those 2 rectangles. It told me to stitch 1/4 inch inside the rectangle on each side. And now I'm going to cut away the centre bit. Nice sharp scissors are good for this, that will cut right to the end, to the tip. That's it, so take those away. So now we've got this shape. Next I'm going to fold this in half, right sides together, and I'm going to put a wonder clip in there, there, and the same on the other side. And then I'm going to sew down that side and down that side, 1/2 inch in. Again, if you want to be sure about your distances, don't be afraid to measure your 1/2 inch seam allowance. So just pop that ruler down. Draw a line. And then we're going to sew against that line. So these are the sides that I've just sewn. I've pressed those seams open, and now I'll just show you what I've done here. So this is how it looked. I've brought those 2 together. Okay, make sure it's nice and flat. Pop clips in. I find it easier, instead of putting the clip that way, I put it at an angle there. Find it keeps it nice and flat. So now I'm going to stitch along here on both of these edges. There we are then, so that's stitched. So that seam was 1/4 inch seam, which actually follows the stitch lines that we did earlier. So it's all nice and neat, look. Make sure you go back and forth at the ends to make it secure. And then if we turn it to the right side, we can see how lovely that is. We've got a nice square base, look. There's the stitching lines that we did to mark where it was being folded. Got a lovely square box there. Okay. So now it's time to do the lining. So just like we did with the outer, I used the ruler and the erasable ink pen, and I marked these lines. It gives you the measurements in the pattern, and then I stitched over those lines just like we did with the outer. And the same thing again, we're going to cut out those rectangles, fold it in half, and then stitch the seams. So I'm going to go back to the machine to do that now. So this is the lining. So press the seams open, and then just as we did on the outer, these seams need to be stitched. So folded that up, stitched along there, but on the other one I haven't stitched all the way along because we need a turning gap to turn it the right way through. So I've just stitched 1/2 inch in on each end, leaving a couple of inches open in the middle for turning. Now we're going to put this and this together, right sides together. So put the outer inside the lining. And we're going to stitch all the way around the top. So I've stitched all the way around now. Okay. Oh, and look what I've done there. I've just caught that in the seam. I'm just going to quickly unpick that bit and just go over it again. Right, so now I'm going to turn it right side out through that little gap we left in the lining. Take it easy because you don't want to rip the seams that you've done. Just pull it through slowly, it will come. There we are then. Okay, so we've just got that little gap left there, so that just needs to be stitched together. You can do that by hand or you can do it on the machine. I'm going to do it on the machine. And then if you remember, when you cut the pieces out, the lining was slightly bigger than the exterior. Now that was done for a reason, because it needs a nice little band around the top. Just press that and we've got a nice little band. So there we are. So I'll press that all now. Now you can put clips around here if you want to, just to secure it. And what I'm going to do for the last stage is just stitch in the ditch around here, all the way around, just to secure that in place. And there we are, our little basket's all finished now. So I've put some of my clips in there. Could use it for all sorts of things. So I'm going to keep mine by my sewing machine. Use this for my clips. I might make some more actually to put my other little bits and pieces in while I'm sewing. So really useful little basket there. Nicely finished, look. You can see stitched in the ditch all the way around just to hold that in place. So then we've got that nice little faux binding around the top. Just perfect. Be quite easy to make it in different sizes as well. You could just upsize that to fit different things. So have a go. It's a nice little easy beginner project and great for using up scraps too. Well, that was a nice quick little project, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed watching me make it, and I hope it's encouraged you to have a go yourself. As I said at the beginning, I'll put all the links down below. The fabric itself is available on my website, pixiebunnycreations.co.uk. The pattern is downloadable as a free pattern from by Annie from her website. And I think if you go onto her website, as I mentioned at the beginning, you have to actually register first before you're able to download any free patterns. It's easy, it's really easy. It's just a case of putting in an email address, I think, and then it lets you register, and it keeps anything then on there that you've either bought directly from them or downloaded in the records, so you can download it again if you need to. You don't need a printer, you don't have to print it off. It's not a huge pattern, and there aren't any pattern pieces to actually cut out. It's just all done by measurements. So you don't really need a paper copy, and it'd be fine just to download it onto your laptop or iPad, whatever you've got, tablet, and just follow it through from there. Anyway, that's all from me for today. See you soon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't done already, so you don't miss any future videos.